Just a quick warning, I'm starting today's show with a small clip, and there is some explicit language in it. So just wanted to give you a heads up.
So finally I said, get the doctor. It was 1 a.m. She says, well, don't I said, get the fucking doctor now. Get him now. I was so fucking furious.
Of course.
So the guy comes in. I had to wake him up. I said, were you aware that x-rays have been taken? Didn't say anything. They produced the x-ray. He turned white as a sheet.
Hi friends, it's Kara. Welcome back to Really Famous. My guest today, actor Eric Braeden, has been a lead actor on The Young and the Restless in the role of Victor Newman for 43 years. 43 years, yes, since 1980. Maybe it's 44 by now, I don't know. And that's just one of his claims to fame. The unmistakable actor has a lifetime of iconic roles, from Rat Patrol and Escape to the Planet of the Apes to Titanic and How I Met Your Mother. And when I say unmistakable, it's because you will recognize his face and his distinguished voice, even if you don't watch The Young and the Restless. Give him a quick Google, or if you're listening on certain podcast apps, they will show you a picture of the two of us together, but not all. Anyway, I first met him a few years ago at his home in LA. We talked about the show and his family, and I remember teaching him what a podcast is. We also talked about his memoir. It's called I'll Be Damned, which is a total page turner. Eric grew up in Nazi Germany with very little money and an imperfect family situation. You can listen to that talk. I put a link in today's show notes. We caught up again recently at CBS Studios in Los Angeles on the set of The Young and the Restless. We chatted in his dressing room during his lunch break. I loved it. I just feel so happy on a TV set. So we had been talking for quite a bit before this podcast starts. We already covered politics, which Eric is super passionate about, and some of Eric's adventures arriving in the U.S., including working on cadavers, specifically cutting out the knees of dead bodies at a university in Texas for a research project on arthritis. So there's more to that story that you won't hear today in the podcast, but if you would like to hear it and see it, in fact, to see Eric telling these stories, head to my YouTube channel at youtube.com/reallyfamous. We start the podcast today at the end of that story where he's talking about leaving Texas for a ranch in Montana. And quick side note, Eric is totally into saying what he thinks. Very outspoken, especially on social media. So give him a follow on Instagram or your favorite platform if you're not following him already. That's my suggestion. And in fact, if for some reason you're not following me on Instagram or Facebook, give me a follow too. I'm on both platforms at Kara Mayer Robinson. One more note, at certain points in this chat, you'll hear a voice coming through from a background speaker. That's because we're at CBS in LA, as I said, and there's an announcement system in place there so that everyone can hear important messages about who's up next, what's about to film, when lunch ends, et cetera, no matter where they are in the building, which is a big building. So I left all of that in because I think it's cool. I also left in the sounds of Eric unwrapping a Dove chocolate, his favorite. I just let the mics roll as we did these little in-between things because I think that stuff's fun. And I know I'd like to hear it if I'm the one listening. Okay, and that's that. So we will pick up with Eric talking about moving to Montana after a word from our sponsors. And the first sponsor is me. Did I tell you I'm an official Amazon influencer now? That means anytime you buy anything on Amazon, that's right, anything, by using my influencer link, Amazon sends me a small commission. You don't pay anything extra at all. It comes out of Amazon's pocket, and it applies to anything and everything you want to buy on Amazon. For extra fun, I've also curated a list of some of my favorite things. So if you're looking for the perfect gift for a friend or a family member, or if you love something you've seen me talking about or using on Instagram, like Matthew Perry's stellar memoir, Eric Braeden's memoir, or one of my Kate Spade bags, or even the cow print chair that I sometimes sit in while taping my show, you'll find those too. But again, to be clear, you can buy anything you want on Amazon. Simply go to Amazon through my special link. And that link is amazon.com/shop/reallyfamous. That's amazon.com/shop/reallyfamous. And if you get in the habit of using my link instead of the plain old Amazon link, then the donations you're making to Really Famous can really start to add up, which would be wonderful. If you'd like to hit pause right now so you can type in my link on your phone or other device, hey, be my guest. That would be great. That way you'll be all set up with my influencer link for next time you shop on Amazon. And that link again is amazon.com/shop/reallyfamous. And I thank you. All right, on to the show.
That was my experience in Texas. And then...
Wait, are we still in that half-year period, though? What's going on during that half year? You're learning.
That's in the half year. That's
okay.
the first. Oh, no.
I want to know.
No.
Okay.
No. There's only 2 or 3 months in Texas. Then I asked my cousin Maren, who else do you know in America? And she knew of a German rancher in Missoula, Montana.
Okay.
It's okay. Called August Hamburg, who had come to America in 1900 and owned a ranch outside of Missoula, Montana, in Florence, Montana. So I wrote to him, quick, do you need someone to work? Yes, come on up. So I'd earned enough money in the hospital to buy a Greyhound bus ticket, my second Greyhound bus trip. First from New York to Galveston, now from Dallas to Missoula, Montana. And I drove through breathtaking countryside. Whoa, man. Northern Texas and Oklahoma, parts of Colorado, and then Wyoming, and wow. I mean,
yeah,
stunning. But I said, why are they ruining this extraordinary countryside with one commercial sign after the other? Coca-Cola, Lucky Strike, Marlboro, whatever, all over. I said, wait a minute, man. This is pristine countryside. How can you ruin it like that? That's why I will never forget Lady Bird Johnson, Lyndon Johnson's wife, who started the Beautification of America Act years later. I said, thank God, because otherwise you were ruining America's countryside.
Oh, did that take down the billboards?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Right, because there are really no billboards.
Called the Beautification of America.
Right.
Huge billboards. You have no idea. Cluttering
Right.
the most gorgeous countryside I've ever seen in my life.
I'm going to interrupt you for a second just to tell you that I drove across the country a few months ago, over the summer. It was incredible. I didn't even want to do it, and I cannot tell you how beautiful. It was just, I loved every minute of it, going from state to state and seeing the landscape changing, and it was just such an experience.
America's
I recommend
breathtaking.
it.
Breathtaking.
I did not expect it to be as awe-inspiring.
Even the Dakotas. You know, it's just, oh, wow, man. Breathtaking.
So you made it to the farm, and they had a spot for you to live?
A ranch. They picked me up at the Missoula Greyhound bus station at 6 in the evening. The rancher came personally with a new Chevy. I love cars. Always loved cars. Learned how to drive when I was 10 years old. Knew how to drive tractors, all that stuff. I loved cars. My first real basic desire was to become a race car driver. Yeah?
Okay.
Wow. I love the sound of the engine. My wife thinks it's horrible noise. I said, no.
Okay, that's the meal.
Kidding?
Back at 2.
Ooh.
Back at 2.
I love a big V8, a rumbling V8, a boom, boom. Oh, I love that stuff.
What do you drive now?
A very powerful Mercedes.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
So you like to make it go quickly?
Unfortunately, yes.
I mean, it can be fun also. People complain about driving.
That is lunch. Lunch today is 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock sharp. We're picking up with item number 21 in the coffee house. Meanwhile, at 1:30, we will do some dry blocking. We'll block in the psych ward with Mel and Haley, And then we will block in society with Mel, Amelia, Courtney, Mark, Sharon, and Joshua. All that exciting blocking commences at 1:30. We're back on camera 2 o'clock in the coffee house. Have a great lunch.
I'm going to have a Dove
Okay.
while we are talking,
Okay,
if you don't mind.
Please, be my guest.
So, I love dark chocolate, okay?
Same.
If you haven't
Oh,
found
so
out
that's
by
right.
now.
So dark chocolate, good
Dark chocolate, good coffee.
dark chocolate, good coffee, and fast cars. I'm with you on that. Now, I don't have a high-powered Mercedes, but I do have a Mini Cooper,
Oh,
and it gets around.
I love the Mini Cooper. Oh.
Anyway, what I was saying also was people complain about LA and traffic, but it's quite fun to drive around here.
Oh, yeah.
If you have fun with it, you have a nice car.
You got to know when and where. And I used to have a Porsche in the 60s, one of the first 911s. Got 5 tickets in half a year. Oh, yeah.
Where, on the freeways or other?
Streets, freeways.
Okay.
They just look at you. They see let's go after them.
But do they know? You roll down the window, and they see you, and do they hesitate?
That's a different story. That actually a story that made the rounds in Antelope Valley, in the Mojave Desert. We were shooting the Rat Patrol, 1967 to 68, at MGM Studios, and then the Mojave Desert, we did the exteriors. And I had bought that 911 Porsche Targa. So then, if you drive from here, LA, up the 405, shorting the 5 and then 14, and into the Mojave Desert.
Mm-hmm.
Well, long stretches where you see no one, except, which I found out later, it's a school for the highway patrol.
Oh, they train there?
They train up there. I found that out later. So people would say, well, you can stay in Lancaster overnight. I said, no, I want to drive home. It's about an hour and a half. And why did I want to drive home? Because I love driving a fast car. So in order to not have to change clothes, I drove in my Nazi uniform with the boots on, the whole thing. I thought, well, no one knows. So one morning, I was a little late. I thought I better haul ass. So I'm driving through Newhall Pass at 120, 125, 130. Must remember I come from the country of Autobahn, so used to that kind of speed.
That's
and I was
right.
boom. And then suddenly out of the corner of my eye, I said, wait a minute. Was that a black and white? Keep driving. Suddenly the lights in the back. I said, oh, shit. I knew what the laws were. I said, they're going to throw away the keys. They're going to arrest me.
Because it was so high.
What, 125, 130?
Yeah.
So I must say, I began to sweat. I thought, shit. So I thought, comes closer, closer. I pulled over, of course, in my uniform on. So I got out of the car before he could get out of the car. And I stood there in my uniform. Now the show was very popular. It was #1 in the ratings for a while in the 60s. So I thought, I'm going to try something. He says, sir, are you aware of how fast you were going? I clicked my ear. I said, sir, my men are waiting. I have a war to fight. So he looks at me. He turns around. He was trying to stifle a smile, Turns back and says, well, now I think I've heard it all. Please drive carefully. I said, yes, sir. I tell you, I almost shit in my pants. I'll never forget it.
And he'll never forget it. I'm sure he's
No,
told that story a million
times. It made the
times.
rounds.
Oh, okay.
It made the rounds all over the Antelope Valley Inn. And oh yeah, it made the rounds.
I'm sure he's still telling that story today.
I don't know, but yeah, that was my one almost horrendous experience in a Porsche. Okay? So then I thought, I got to change this stuff. I got to get a car that looks like a normal car, but is faster than hell.
Okay.
Those were the AMGs by Mercedes.
Okay.
They're specially tuned. You know, their whole ass.
They have a special engine or whatever.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
They're
But they
all-
look like a regular Mercedes?
All modified.
Okay.
Look like a regular Mercedes.
Uh-huh.
Unless you have to know what you're looking at, then you say, oh, wait a minute, AMG. But it's not visually
It's not in your face.
challenging
Uh-huh.
to a cop. You know, so I've not been in a Porsche like ever since again.
Okay.
Never. No.
Have you gotten pulled over recently? Or are you in
No.
the clear now?
No. No. Last time was after I came home from Titanic. I was driving my wife's convertible, and I came from the gym, working out, and I mean, you know, where I live, residential area, and suddenly, a motorcycle cop pulls out behind me, and sirens on, lights on. I got so pissed off. I said, "Why the what?" So I got so angry at the attitude. On a loudspeaker on his motorcycle. Pull over. I said, I am pulling over.
Right.
Hello? So I was so damn angry at the challenging attitude. You know, they have a uniform on, and they think they get away with it. You want to go say, take your uniform off, let's go. I mean, it's just, whoa. So I said, why did you turn on the siren now? There's no reason for it. Or a loudspeaker? What's the matter with you?
You said that to him?
I said to him, absolutely. I was furious. So I had a shirt on with Titanic on it. And I guess he recognized me. He said, well, sir, I said, no, please don't come at me like that. Why are you doing that? It's unnecessary. Pull over. And
So you made sure he could see your Titanic?
no,
shirt?
he just happened to see it.
He saw it because
I
he
was
came
in
to the
in
window?
a convertible.
Oh, that's right.
So, can I see your license? I said, yes, here we go. Boom. Now, a lot of those guys had seen the Rap Patrol for years, and was I on? Yeah, I was in Wine already. Yeah. So I got away with it. I thought, well, don't press your luck. The next guy's not going to take kindly to that. So I just have 4 doors, you can't see anything,
Got it.
but they're fast.
Yeah. Good for you.
I have a racing license. Well, the greatest time I ever had was going to racing school. Bob Bondurant racing with my son, who is faster than I am.
Wait, what is racing school?
Racing school is where you learn how to race cars. Okay? And you get a license if you're good at the end.
So as if you wanted to be a NASCAR driver or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the first step.
Uh-huh.
You know?
So you took it with your son?
Well, oh yeah. Racing school with my son, who was very fast. Very fast. It's amazing. You drive the same cars. We drove souped-up Mustangs. And then at the end of the course, you have a race, you know. And damn it, he beat me every time. I said, you son of a goddamn. And I couldn't keep up with him. He was faster, younger and faster.
Wow.
That's also reaction time.
Oh, yeah.
That's why you wonder. I mean, they're all in highly similarly calibrated cars, and yet some race car drivers are better than others.
Right. So you think that's what it is, and it's reaction time?
Oh, yeah.
More than anything else?
And yes, absolutely. And he grew up playing video games. So he's very facile, very fast to the quick reactions, you know?
Right.
That's where that comes from.
Oh, that's interesting.
They asked me, when he was 17, we went took another course, and they said, he was beating instructors then. And they said, if you want, he can race professionally. I never told him until years later.
Wow.
Because I knew, I said no.
Wow.
That's asking for trouble. Really is. That's a dangerous, dangerous profession,
So when did you decide to tell him finally, and why?
Years later, when he was already deeply involved in making films.
And he was right.
And he knew that that's what he wanted to do.
Uh-huh.
But man, he would have been a damn good race car driver.
So wait, how did he react when you told him? Was he just like, no big deal?
By that time, he says, oh yeah, huh. Well, I guess I made a good choice. I said, yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Made a very good choice.
That could have been scary. Scary. Yeah.
I mean, every time, Joanna Woodward with Paul Newman, her husband, who was a very good race car driver, a damn good race car driver, she was scared every time he went out there.
Mm-hmm.
Because you drive at speeds where you say, whoa,
Mm-hmm. So you have an excellent relationship with your son.
Oh, very close relationship, yeah.
And you have all the years, I imagine.
All through sports.
All through sports.
Yeah.
So you bonded that way?
All through sports. I coached his soccer team for 25 years. I had won the U.S. Championship in 1973 with the Maccabees. We won the U.S. Championship, beat everyone in America. And I wanted to repeat that with him as a coach and he as a player.
That's a big goal.
And we twice were in the Final Four. Twice.
Amazing.
Once made it to the finals and lost 1-0 in Oregon. And another one was in Denver. We lost in the semis.
Impressive.
Yeah, but still, he and I still, when we talk sometimes, remember exactly what went wrong.
Uh-huh. Who did what at what critical moment in time?
Yeah, I remember it well. But I coached him for years, so, And then I took him to the ghetto boxing gyms when he was about 8, 9, down in Watts, 70th and Hoover, the Hoover Street Gym. We'll never forget it. Wonderful old black fighters, such nice people, brutal, tough fighters, but basically such nice and sweet people, I was the only white guy down there with my son. And I remember an old heavyweight called Cannonball Green. He took care of my son and taught him the basics, and it just those are some of the fondest memories I have. And then we switched from Hoover Street Gym to 108th and Broadway. He walked up creaky stairs and saw all the old black fighters playing checkers, And hey man, what's going on? Yeah, come on, Eric, come on. That's so sweet,
great.
so nice. Wow, man. Yeah.
And then he went into filmmaking.
Yeah.
So even though you're not that interested in films, he somehow, was it from your wife that he developed this appreciation?
She took him on walks early on and made him aware of, she said, look at that light, how that is.
Yes.
And look at that, isn't it beautiful? Made him aware of all of that early on, yeah.
That's amazing.
So he has a very developed sense of aesthetics, His student film was called Shadow Box.
That's right, and it won an award.
Yes, it's wonderful. It was about the loneliness of a boxer, Yeah.
And now he's got Den of Thieves.
Den of Thieves.
2.
He's just finished Den of Thieves 2, but he's doing post-production.
Okay. So you're proud of him?
Huh?
You're proud of him?
Oh, very proud of him. Very proud of him.
And your grandkids, you have 3, is that
right?
right?
3 granddaughters.
You posted some cute little pictures with them.
Yeah.
You can tell.
I adore them.
You love them.
I adore them, yeah.
So it's more fun having...
I grew up with 4, we were 4 brothers, we fought all the time. To have 3, it's so adorable. 3 girls, wonderful. It's just the sweetest. The sweetest. Yeah.
Do they watch you, like, on the show?
We tried to stay away from that for as long as we could. They may here and there, they find it kind of funny.
Okay.
There's Oprah. But we all try to stay away from that.
With the reason being, and I can guess what it is, but why do you try to stay away from it?
Because it gives them a false sense of who their grandfather is, I know from watching my son react to all that. He didn't like it. He didn't like any of it.
So when people would recognize you out, it was uncomfortable to him.
Yes, it wasn't his dad, It was an image I played. I remember on doing the Planet of the Apes, the third one, Escape From, and where I killed the baby chimp at the end. And for a while afterwards, I had him on my shoulders usually. He was about 3, 4, whatever. And we would walk into where I live to go shopping, pick up groceries and all that, but he would always be on my shoulders. And then people would suddenly say, oh my God, he killed the baby chimp. Those were his first memories.
Oh, that's rough.
And so he thought, what? My dad did what? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He just didn't like the whole... But he loved film. When he was 8, 9 years old, my wife let him see The Shining.
Oh,
I didn't know that.
Film.
And that was his beginning interest in filmmaking. The Shining.
So not a bad thing to get to see it at 8 in his case.
She snuck him to the movie theater.
In the theater, right?
Yes.
Right, okay.
He wasn't allowed to, but he and a friend snuck him in. Because my wife is very artistic. She says, if he wants to see that.
Yeah.
So then afterwards he tried to make films on a little camera. But The Shining, he employed the neighborhood girls and guys, and hilarious. So he really has been wanting to do films ever since he remembers.
Yeah, that's just part of who he is.
His and my closeness come from sports.
So I heard you say something, I don't know if I heard it in an interview or read it, where you said there were like 2 keys to life in Hollywood or something, a long career in Hollywood. I don't know if you remember what you said, but I think you said one was money. I think you said this recently. Does this ring a bell?
Yeah.
And then the other was enjoying it. Am I right?
Well, yes, but it's, in other words, you need to make money, make a living, let's be honest. So, you need to be slightly crazy to go into this business. You need to be slightly adventurous to go into this business. You can't be a normal person and say, I want to become an actor. You know what the odds against you are? The 150,000 registered actors in Hollywood. 150,000. To be registered takes a long time. You remember how many other hundreds of thousands are running around as waiters, all kinds of things? They became something else because they couldn't hack it.
Yeah.
Of those 150,000 registered actors, 1%, 1,500 make a living.
Right.
1%.
1%. And that's just of the registered actors. Right, so the odds are super slim. The odds are stacked against you.
Staggering. So you have to be a little nuts to go into it.
Because you have to be a little delusional, thinking
But I'm
that
a little,
you can still do it? That you'll be one of them?
Not delusional, but you have to... Look, from sports, I learned to be very realistic. So I was tapped to do things in German high school already, to read poetry aloud, to... I don't know why.
Well, is it because of, again, well, you were reading it in German then,
Yeah.
but your, like, Shakespearean voice, or accent, I guess you would call whatever you would call it. I don't know.
I learned British English in school, and they had...
Yeah, it's quite good.
my teacher was a spy in England during the war.
Wait, what?
My teacher, my high school teacher in English, was a spy, a German spy in England during the war.
Huh. Okay,
He
that's
spoke it perfectly.
interesting.
And he always pointed to me and says, "You have a good ear." So then sometimes some teachers would come from England and they would teach in our schools, and they said, "He has the best accent."
Ah.
But I have the same thing in French.
Let's hear a little French.
Ça va? Ça va bien?
Ça va.
Bonjour. Oui?
Ouais.
Quelle heure est-il maintenant? Il est 1h15.
Ouais.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 16, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15.
16, 17, 18, 19.
Vive la
20.
France.
Vive la France.
Bien.
But I could never get the accent. But yeah, so you had it in the British English
Yeah.
and French.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Whatever
your,
language.
you've got a thing.
En español también.
Uh-huh. Italian?
Italiano, no. I never learned it.
It's a beautiful
Spanish more.
language.
Italian is a beautiful
Love
language.
Italian.
Of course, beautiful
Can't get
language.
enough of it.
Beautiful language.
Okay, so back to so you have to be adventurous at least to be in this business.
You have to look when you do sports in track and field, for example. You can't bullshit yourself. It's you either throw this far, jump this far, or
Right.
run this fast, or you don't.
Very concrete.
The measurements very concrete,
Yes.
very realistic.
Yes.
No bullshit.
Yeah.
And you do it alone.
Uh-huh.
Big difference. You learn to rely on your own abilities.
Yes. So the power is within yourself.
Yes. So when you perform in sports or in school reading poetry, for example, you're on your own.
Yes.
So from early on, I apparently was good at it. Don't know why. Always got praise for it. So it's not that I was new to the world of acting. I was always sort of, but I didn't want any part of it, sort of. Well, not really. My first impressions were of Clark Gable. My mother watched Gone with the Wind 13 times. I never knew why. But I would go sometimes to the film and say, whoa, yeah, you dream. Wow. And then one of the actors who impressed me was a French actor called Jean Gabin, who was pretty tough guys. I said, yeah, wow. When you grow up in a village and you have nothing, and cold nights, you take walks or you play ice hockey on frozen ponds and drive home, you dream, you dream a lot. And you dream about beautiful women and adventurous stuff, Really. Truth be told, what saved my life, to be honest with you, were beautiful girls and sports. Really. The only thing to look forward to. I remember all their faces. I remember them all. Wow. Yeah. The joy of looking forward to meeting, and have a rendezvous and first kisses and, oh my God, wonderful, wonderful. I thank them all, really. And then sports, because life itself was hard, very hard.
You have such gratitude and you see such beauty
Yeah,
in the world
yeah,
after a rough beginning.
yes,
It,
yes.
and it does show you that you can go one way
yes,
or another.
yes, yes,
You went this one way, and aren't you glad you did?
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, yes, yeah. Then school has a lot to do with that as well, because I remember, although school was not what I now hope it had been was tough. But we learned, I remember, certain poems and had to read certain literature. And it began to sensitize you to, what was beautiful in language and what was not. And I grew up in the countryside. And the countryside, anyone who has grown up in the countryside will attest to that. There's some beautiful moments. Some sunsets, oh my God,
Yeah.
And they're just moments when you're out in nature. After a hard day's work on a farm or whatever, and you walk home and you just, the wind and it's the wheat fields waving and, or the smell of a forest. And I grew up with all those visceral images, smells, mean a great deal to me.
Yeah.
The smell of, oh my God, dreadful smells on farms. The worst smell is the pigsty.
Oh, so it's just like they say.
Whoa.
Okay.
And the chicken coop ain't much better.
Okay.
Horse manure smells good.
Not bad.
No problem at all.
Huh.
Smells good. Cow, forget it.
The things you learn on a
Oh
farm.
my God. Are you kidding me? I grew up with that stuff.
Yeah. You know the differences.
And then you see birth. You see a calf being born. You look at this, oh, wow, man. Every year we saw that.
I remember staying on a farm in Pennsylvania when I was a little girl. And my parents, we went to, it was in Amish country. We stayed on a farm, in a farmer's house, basically.
Yes.
They had a couple of guest rooms. And
Yes.
they woke us early one morning
yes.
to see a calf being born.
Yes.
It was really cool.
Yes. Oh, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. I'll tell you what, even when, and birth too, that's another thing, but that's something that even when I see that in a movie or something else, it's amazing how it just comes right over you and you can just put yourself right back in that moment, I guess. I don't know if you saw your son actually being born. You probably weren't in the room.
Well, that was a very dramatic thing because, and my anger, I think, helped save his life. Yeah. Tell you how that worked. My wife was overdue, and we had gone to natural childbirth method.
Okay.
I learned how to massage and breathing and all that. I wanted to be part of it. He was born in 1970. So, and it was time for her to, but it's overtime. So apparently they had taken an x-ray because she was about 3 weeks overdue or something, or 4 weeks overdue.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
It's a lot. So
I was 10 days and they said it's time.
Well, because we believed in this natural childbirth thing, we said, give it time.
Yeah.
I had no experience. And then the gynecologist, obstetrician who was responsible for her, was a drunk. We didn't know that. And he was on vacation. But they had taken an x-ray. So we go to the hospital. It's overdue. I'm in a room with her doing all the things I'm supposed to do, massage, and see that everything is okay. And after 5 hours, she said, I feel it's not coming out.
Okay.
So what did I know? I said, it's okay. So I called the nurse. I said, she was a bitchy nurse. A bitchy nurse. She said, don't worry, blah, blah, blah. I said, okay, so a massage, blah, 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 blah. Time went on and on and on. She had been in labor for over 24 hours, I think, altogether. So finally I said, get the doctor. It was 1 a.m. She says, well, don't know. I said, get the fucking doctor now. Get him now. I was so fucking furious.
Of course.
So the guy comes in. I had to wake him up. I said, were you aware that x-rays have been taken? Didn't say anything. They produced the x-ray. He turned white as a sheet. They wheeled my wife immediately into the operating room. I didn't know what was happening. And I broke down in a room by myself waiting when they told me to wait. I thought this may be the last I see of my wife. And I forget how much longer later, they said, "Do you want to see your boy?" I said, "Whoa." So I went. He was, where they have all the newbies.
The nursery.
The nursery or whatever. And I said, wow. They had to do an emergency cesarean. And I said, wow. I mean, what an emotional night.
Yeah. And your wife was okay?
My wife, my sweet wife, barely survived this stuff. But she's very strong.
Wow. And
she did. And then she had stomach issues right afterwards and all that. And anyway, we went home in a used old Bentley, because my wife always loved old cars. So after I sold my Porsche, after all those tickets, we bought a Bentley, a right-hand drive Bentley.
That's fun.
She loved it.
That's fun.
I said, this old piece of whatever.
Yeah.
But we took our son home. She was sitting in the back seat with him in a Bentley.
That's priceless.
Yeah.
This is perfect. So what was he? Was he breech or something? Was he like?
So.
Yeah.
I don't know what, but when he came out, he had a ridge right here. That means he had been pushing.
Oh my God. Oh.
I looked at him and I said, well, that's when he was pushing, trying to get out.
God. Oh my God.
Yeah, that could have been a disaster.
Yeah. Well, it turned out okay.
Oh my God, did it ever.
Wow.
Now we're going to start our afternoon dry.
Did it ever.
Can we please have
So that's something else. Yeah. Wow. So you've had your challenges in life, and they weren't just when you were growing up.
No.
That was a big challenge.
Oh,
What's
yeah.
one of the most recent challenges you had? Well, I guess I know what this is.
Well, you're getting older. I'm 49.
You look fabulous. Well, you look fabulous no matter what your number is. I will
I'm
say
going to
that.
be 83 in April.
More of this. The world needs more of this. It's so wonderful to see and to be around.
Thank you. That's nice.
And it's really more. We need more.
So getting older, I had my hip redone and from all the sports, and then finally my left knee went out. Had that a year ago. I had that replaced. And then I started having prostate issues, as you are wont to do when you get older. Mm-hmm. Damn thing grows and impinges on the urethra, meaning you have to go to the bathroom more often.
Like all the time.
Period,
Mm-hmm.
precisely. To the point where it was 6-7 times at night. I thought, shit. So I went to a well-meaning urologist who, nice guy, but different story, not very capable. And then finally got so bad that I couldn't pee at all.
Oh.
Boom. At night. Got panicked. Called his office, left messages, no return, nothing. And you get panicked, I tell you. Nothing comes out. It's building up.
Right.
So I got in my car, drove to his office myself. Secretaries never picked up. They were just lazy. Didn't pick up. Walked into the office. He says, do you have an appointment? I said, never mind. Get this doctor here right now. Right now. He came. I said, Bob. I said, okay, Bob. They catheterized me.
Okay, so they put a catheter in.
Right. They cathed me, I guess.
Okay.
The relief. So, they give you a bag, Bob, you go home. For a few days, you have the bag there, and it's all okay, it's all not bad. And then about a few days later, I went back in, they took the bag out, And he says, let's take a cystoscopy. I said, what the hell is that? So we take a camera up your... And they did that. Okay, long story short, he says, no, you're all fine. You're clear. I said, okay. Relief. I didn't think of cancer at all.
Mm-hmm.
So, went
Well,
home.
now we're moving on over to society.
And
Amelia, please join us.
I forget the time frames now. That's one thing that you forget about as you get older. Your chronology sort of gets... So I don't remember at what time frame this happened. Went home and again began to have difficulties peeing. And then one day on the way to work, I said, shit, this is happening again. You can sense it, you feel it. Not coming out. So I remember driving by a hospital in this area, and I remember seeing a thing called tower urology. You know, you see it sort of unconsciously driving by.
Yeah.
So shit, I'm going to pull it.
You did. You
Pulled in.
love it.
Walked up to the desk. Yes, I said, there's an emergency, blah, blah, blah. Says, please wait a minute, blah. He took me in. So, an Asian doctor comes up, says, oh, yeah, okay, we'll give you a catheter. Gives me a catheter. As he's putting the catheter in, he looks at me and I said, what the fuck is he looking at? He says, are you an actor? I said, yeah. Then, you do soap? I said, yeah. You play Victor Newman? I said, yes. What? He says, I learned English when I came from Vietnam, watching your show.
Go, get out of here. Brilliant.
I swear to you.
I love that.
I swear to you.
It all comes together.
I swear to you. And
You were driven to him. You drove yourself to him. Wow.
so, again, the back, bab, then again the follow-up exam with the cystoscopy, and he says, so matter of fact, he says, oh, you have cancer. I said,
So right away he knew.
yeah.
Oh.
During the cystoscopy.
Uh-huh.
I took camera into the bladder, they look.
You see it. Okay.
As if,
Just matter of fact.
yeah. I said, whoa, okay, huh. What do we do? He says, well, you need two things. You need what is called a urolift, which is where they put a stent into the urethra to drive apart the encroaching prostate.
Okay.
Very much like a stent going to the arteries, driving the plaque aside, okay? He says, and whilst that, we will clean out the cancer. I said, okay. Yeah, what choice do you
Right.
have, right?
You just do it.
So, now, truth be known, my eldest brother, who just turned 90 now, perfectly clear in his head and all that, had his bladder taken out 11 years ago, about the same age, a little younger. He had not noticed the early signs of it until the cancer had penetrated the bladder walls, the muscle walls.
Okay.
That's a different stage of cancer.
Oh, okay.
Mine was before it reached that stage. So mine could be handled with BCG. B stands for bovine, and CG is Calmette and BCG, Calmette and something. Guérin, two French scientists in the 1940s, had developed a vaccine for tuberculosis. Later on found that it can also be used to fight the early stages of bladder cancer. Isn't that something?
Beautiful. That's amazing.
Isn't that something?
Yes.
So, anyway, I went to the surgery, all went well, I felt better already, but a few days after the surgery, they got the biopsy report back from the cancer, and he says, I think we got it all. So he says, oh, wait a minute. Well, it's just you have some high-grade cancer cells as well. I guess there are different kinds of cancer cells. Some are very aggressive. I had some high-grade ones as well. I said, what does that mean? He says, well, you need BCG treatment. What does that mean? They grab your urethra again, they insert a serum into your bladder, and that arouses your own immune system and fights the cancer early on.
Right, so it's immunotherapy, I
Yes,
think.
precisely.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So it burns like hell for a day or two. You got to pee all the time, but if you know that, that's okay.
Yeah.
Then you know it. It's all right, you do it.
Yeah.
It's not bad, really. And I forget again after how many treatments. They did another cystoscopy, and he said, you're cancer-free. However, he says, prophylactically, we will continue the treatment, but in greater distances.
Yeah, with more time in between.
More time in between, greater breaks.
Okay.
So I had my last one 2 months ago, and I'll be checked again with the cystoscopy in January. If it's clean still, then, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
And I have BCG treatment then again with greater spaces in between. I don't mind that.
Courtney, Mark,
That's quite
Sharon,
good.
Josh. Courtney, Mark, Sharon, Josh.
You look like you would never know you had all this recently.
No.
So I think a lot of it, you tell me, but I think a lot of it has to do with the way you.
I don't know if it does or not, but I'm a fighter. I'm from sports, so bring it on. Let's go. Come on.
Yeah.
So it's and then if I know the facts, what do I need to do? This. Okay, let's go.
By the way, your doctor must have a fabulous accent. If he learned from you.
I tell you, I will never ever in my life forget that moment. Never.
Because if he learned his English from you, did you listen?
He spoke without an accent. He was Vietnamese. His family had come over during that time, I guess, whenever, and he learned English by watching the damn show.
That's so perfect. So let me ask you one more question, then I'll wrap it up for you. So you also said, another thing you've said in a recent interview, I think, was, I love getting old. And did you say that?
Yeah.
I love that statement.
Yeah, I do.
So can you elaborate?
The only regret I have is that I can't play soccer anymore. I can't run anymore, really. Mm-hmm. I walk, but running with a hip and a new knee. It's
a lot, yeah.
I regret that. I have to say, that's the only regret I have. Otherwise, none.
Okay.
I just enjoy life more, in a sense. I do things a bit more slowly, consciously. I love to read. I love to work out. Love it. Still feel good doing it. I do Olympic lifting, clean and jerks, boom, boom, None of that Schwarzenegger bullshit. But I do a lot of.
Okay, what's the difference? What
the
do you
difference
do?
is those guys stand in front of the mirror and go, that's bullshit. So as an athlete, you learn, football players, for example, learn track and field all the time. Olympic lifting, that meaning you only work for speed, boom, boom. Boom, boom. Do you understand?
Uh-huh.
Heavy weights from the ground up, boom, boom. Clean and jerk, or deadlifts.
And that's safe?
Well, I don't care. It's what I do.
Okay.
So I don't do it as heavily anymore as I did before. I've reduced those weights, but you can, do it with less weight. You do it with 100 pounds. Good. And it gets your pump really pumping.
So you have you have a good mindset.
Yeah.
About a lot.
Yeah.
But is there anything that you feel like you didn't have a good mindset about that you had to adjust at a certain point?
Yeah, the amounts of workouts. You can't do this hard anymore.
Uh-huh. So that
Just-
took a minute.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
You say, hey, man. I mean, I used to work out to exhaustion.
Mm-hmm.
I used to spar a lot. I don't do that anymore. And to the head, I have not sparred for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Only a jab to the head. You tell your sparring partner, okay, no right crosses, no left hooks,
Right.
just jab, and that you can
Okay.
parry, okay? Avoid, boom, boom. But to the body, you can go all out, I don't care. The body, I don't care. So that's a safer way, but sometimes more exhausting, because you really wail on the body. So you have to constantly, boxing is so exhausting, as people have no clue.
It's good
They
for you,
have-
right?
They have no clue. People have no clue.
Uh-huh.
When guys go into a clinch in boxing, and you start wrestling or whatever, that's exhausting.
Well, they look exhausted when they're
It's
doing it.
exhausting. So the good boxing trainers tell you if you inevitably go into a clinch, right? Boom.
Yeah.
And you start, the good trainers say don't resist too much because it's exhausting. You just go with it a little bit, you hold it, don't resist too much, and then from that you go whatever. Okay? Now, who I have the deepest respect for is the UFC. Ultimate Fighting. That I have the deepest respect for. Those guys are nuts. Wow. Oh,
They go all out?
Randy Couture. I mean, all those old fighters. I have such respect for them. John Bones Jones, whoever they all are. Bisping. I mean, all these names. And wow. My son learned boxing from early on, and then he graduated to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which is the craftiest form of fighting.
Uh-huh.
Where wrestlers stop when you're on the ground, they start with their back to I mean, it's so damn complicated, and he has tried to come in. I said, no, son, I'm too old for this shit. I don't want to learn this stuff anymore. With me, it's a bomb.
And by the way, your son has a lot of skills.
Oh, yeah.
Race car driver,
Yeah, oh, yeah.
filmmaker,
Yeah, oh, yeah.
all of this.
And he's a bad boy. He's about 6'4", and about my weight, about 220, and so we used to spar in boxing, right? And so sometimes we sort of do that, and then he does Muay Thai where he kicks.
Well, you don't want to be kicked at this
Boom!
point.
Well, from soccer I'm sort of used to it, but
Not now.
like that. Not like
now.
that. Not
You
like
don't need that.
And I say, whoa, respect for your old man. Don't do that shit with me. Or he does this thing where, whoa, and he suddenly dives down and takes your legs out.
Oh my God.
I said, my boy, I told you, respect.
Right.
So, anyway.
I thought of one last question I just need to ask, which is, because I feel like a lot of your life is about, you love a lot of life. You
Yeah.
love a lot that there is.
Yeah.
You really, you see it, you appreciate it,
Yeah.
and you engage in it.
Yeah,
You do it all. And I think it's a passionate life
yeah,
in many ways. And
yeah.
I think it's wonderful.
Yeah,
It's
I love
evident.
I love to eat. I love to have good meals. Oh, I love not just the meal, but the talking. I love that. Love that. Really.
Same with me. It's my favorite.
Love it.
All the
Sit
good
with-
things.
Yeah, sit with friends or your family, and the happiest moments for me are to sit with my eldest granddaughter, who's so bright. She goes to, I don't want to mention the college, but it's one of the top 15 universities in America, and she's all A's. All A's. And she's beautiful. And she's so charming. And I love talking to her about her studies, and
Yeah.
she's in economics and business, and it's all A's.
And she gets so much from you, I'm sure, in these conversations that you have too.
Yeah.
Oh wait, did you have the Instagram, or did you post something where she was being you?
Yes.
Yes. Hilarious.
She imitates me.
You could tell she was having fun with that.
I love it. She imitates me, and yeah, and I love conversations or dinner with her, and with my son.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
And what would you tell your younger self if you could give your younger self advice?
The only thing I regret, to be honest with you, from my childhood is not much, but I regret not having the financial wherewithal and the time to study. I was so curious about so many things. I had no time for that. No time. Had to work. I traveled or walked for half an hour to the train station in the cold winters in Germany at 6 in the morning. No warm clothing on. Didn't have warm clothing. Didn't have all those down jackets and all that.
Yeah.
Shit, there's nothing.
Yeah.
Show me any climate. Okay? Then the train ride took another 40 minutes into the city where I went to school. Then from there we walked to school for another 20 minutes. Okay? That's before you even went into a, and I never forget, I was about 14, 15. On the same train ride was a girl, Dagmar von Kutzleben. Never forget it. She's beautiful. And she allowed me to take her to her school. Oh. So I walked her to her school, which was even farther away. So I sometimes came late to my first class. Anyway. Oh, I remember that.
So you regret that you didn't have time for that, but if you had time for more studying,
Yes.
you would not be who you are today. You would have probably taken a different...
I probably would have taught.
Yeah, it would have been a very different life.
Yeah, I probably would have. I think I would have taught. You know, I would have taught, probably. Yeah.
Taught what, do you think?
History.
To
Very
whom
interested
and
in
where? In Germany?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Or here, who knows, but there, probably. But I was so curious always about, I mean, look, in physics, astrophysics, is it Newton's gravitational laws that keep the universe together? Is it E equals mc squared, Einstein's thing of space and time interacting? Is there something prior to the Big Bang? What comes afterwards? The question of, obviously, God, which interested me when I was very young. And, oh my God, there's so much.
Yeah, there's so much. And
There's so much. Then look at the anatomy.
yeah, the anatomy, forget it.
You kidding me?
I know, it's crazy.
It's crazy.
And the fact
And
that
the
they
brain.
figured out
That's crazy.
the anatomy.
Crazy.
And you were part of that.
Yeah.
Cutting into the knee
Oh
skin.
yeah. You know, and then nutrition and health and working out and health and genetics and health, and I mean, wow, I have such respect for scientists and doctors, you have no idea.
Same.
Really. Great, deep respect. You know?
That's an essential element in your being, is your curiosity.
Yeah.
And that's what makes life so interesting to you.
Eternally interesting.
Yeah.
Really.
And it would, eternally.
And then, you know, you read more about the Renaissance, and then you begin to understand how without finances none of that shit would have happened. Without the Medicis, Michelangelo, Da Vinci, Petrarch, before then Raphael, all those people would not have produced.
And how about Da Vinci? Da Vinci alone.
But what I'm saying is...
Right, that there's so much, the more you know, the more you realize how little you know, is what they say.
Fascinating. Life is fascinating.
It's fascinating.
It is. Then look at America's founding fathers. My God Almighty. John Adams, Jefferson, Washington, Benjamin Franklin. These brains, these characters.
people.
Writing the damn Constitution. John Adams would take trips with Quincy, the son or whatever, when he was 12 years old. They left from Boston Harbor in February. Do you know how rough the Atlantic is? Oh, man.
Yeah.
He did it not once, he did it several times. Benjamin Franklin, 1776, after they had,
Declaration of Independence?
precisely. He went to Paris to beg for money
Right.
to finance the Revolutionary War. Most Americans don't know that without French help, the Brits would be here ruling the stuff. You'd be drinking tea. Not too bad. But Benjamin Franklin, that man's brains, he flooded all the women at the Paris salons in the late 1700s.
I know, he lived on the left bank, right? I think
somewhere
I
there.
think I remember seeing his place, actually.
Right. And what a character. He was an iconoclast, and they loved him, and
Coffeehouse scene.
then he convinced
Item 21. 5 minutes standby for Courtney, Joshua, Paul, and Sarita.
was the Minister of Finance under Louis XVI was Vincent or something, I forget exactly. Anyway, now why were the French willing to give money to the American revolutionaries? Because they hated the Brits. They were competing with the Brits. So then John Adams went from Paris, he went on to Amsterdam, because the Dutch were a wealthy trading nation. They also competed with the Brits. Anything to diminish the British Empire. The British Empire was vast. So they got money from all those sources. Lafayette was a young British nobleman, a French nobleman, who came to America and was enthused about America's ideas of freedom and individuality and all that. He fought with Washington in the Battle of Yorktown. He was an integral part of that battle.
Okay.
So when I hear some moronic idiots in Congress saying, we're going to call this now Liberty fries, not French fries, years ago, I said, you fucking morons. You're so stupid. You don't realize without the French, you wouldn't have won that war against the Brits. These are realities,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. Do you read a lot? You read a lot.
I read a lot. Yeah, I read a lot. Yeah.
When do you have time to read? At night?
I don't know. This morning I woke up at about 4, and I take my damn phone and I read.
Yeah.
I subscribe to New York Times, Washington Post, Frankfurter Allgemeine, BBC, on and on and on. Fantastic.
So you read all the things.
Yeah, I love to read the editorials. I read Krugman and Friedman
Yep.
and Nicholas Kristof and Washington Post. I read a lot. Frankfurter Allgemeine, it's a German paper, very good one. Die Zeit, BBC.
You find the time. You make the time to read all the things. That's
but
the
in the
thing.
4 in the morning, and then after a while, I fall asleep again, and then I got to wake up at whenever I have to be here.
And you're here like 4 days a week at CBS?
Depends.
It's a lot. It's a heavy schedule.
Sometimes 4, sometimes 3.
Okay, but that's still a lot.
Yeah. Well, yesterday I did 40 pages.
Yeah. So you
come
learn
here,
the
you cram.
pages.
No, I go through the script the night before or the day before. After I finish a day's work today, I go through whenever I work next, and I look at certain things and make certain cuts and say, okay, okay, and then so I've acquainted myself with it a little bit already, but then I learn it on the morning of when I have to work. After this interview, I got to sit down and cram.
You're gonna cram. That's cool, though. It's cool you can still. No wonder also your brain. This is good for you.
Yeah.
All this stuff is good.
Yes, it is.
All right. This has been a pleasure.
Don't retire.
Don't retire. Please, I would never retire.
Screw retirement.
Right?
No.
There's too many interesting things to do also.
And one of the most important lessons is really make yourself work out once a day. Either walk, yoga, Pilates, dance, lift weights, whatever you do. But do it for about half an hour a day, at least. Really.
Yeah.
Do it.
That's what they say too, about
Do
30 minutes most days at least.
Yeah,
My dad is 91 and he still goes on the exercise bike.
good for him.
And he walked a long time until he really couldn't.
Good for him.
But that and his attitude has gotten him in and out of the hospital and recovering a
Yes,
million times
yes.
over.
Back
Yes.
in Studio 43 with item.
Now, my dear, it was a wonderful interview.
Can we please have Joshua?
You're the best at it. You really are. You're very good. You're very good, I gotta tell you.
Wait, can you say that again without that noise in the background?
I said, you are the best interviewer. You are wonderful. You're very good at it. So you draw things out of one that normally one wouldn't talk about. You know? It's in the interviewer. You know, the other guy who was brilliant at it, Larry King.
Oh, yeah, Larry King.
Larry King would listen. Good interviews listen. So you're very, very good at it. I told you that last time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, that was Eric Braeden. I left feeling pretty good. I like it when my guests enjoy our time together, and what he said at the end was icing on the cake. Remember to catch the bonus videos on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/reallyfamous. Follow me and Eric on Instagram and Facebook. Swap out your normal Amazon link for my influencer link. That's amazon.com/shop/reallyfamous. And buy anything and everything you normally do while sending extra love to Really Famous for free. I'm Kara. Thanks for hanging out with Eric and me. Please stay tuned because there's a lot more to come very soon. Talk to you then.